fuck me, this is really heavy. I don't know if I can hold it for the whole video. Alright, this is Excellent Men, Operation No Toe Pants. It was a crossover from 1997, and this is a big hardcover. It's not an omnibus, but it is a bit like one. And I like this story, and I would love to be able to tell you they're gonna get this to read the full story, but sadly this isn't a full story. There's a bunch of missing issues and stuff that probably should have been included. This isn't a great collection. You've got some good stuff in it, some really good comics, but I feel that this wasn't the best way to collect this story. Probably should have been 2 volumes, that way you could have gotten everything in. And my first criticism will be the cover here. It's just a cover to an issue of Wolfman, with only Wolfman on it, and Wolfman, he isn't a major character in this story. It's a good image, it's a good cover for that issue, but it's not a good cover for this collection. On the back, we have got Cables, and this is a slight bit better in that it actually does reflect the story some way. Cables, he has got a gun and he's targeting Bastard. And Cables, he does have a bit more of a prominent role than Wolfman. There are still much better covers within this collection that would have been a much smarter choice. Let's take off this dust jacket because that is brilliant. It's an odd Marvel hardcover, so instead of a cheap printed image here, we have got a really nice embossed title. We start off this collection with an issue of Generation Next. This is issue 26. And this is our first chance to talk about what is missing. Generation Next, issue 25. Or at least the 3 pages that are essential to this story and the Generation Next tie-ins. Look, there's Emma Frosty's. There's other missing stuff, but I'll come to that later on. The plot for this crossover is... well, there's like 4 different elements, but the overall story is that a baddie called Bastard, he's like an upgraded version of Nimrod, that's him there. He has achieved power within government and following various things like Onslaught Man and the assassination of a presidential candidate. Well, the government, they are open to Bastard's proposed plan to police and hunt down the muties. It's a really good story. It's taken that classic Excellent Men idea and those odd stories with the Centennials, and it's like turning them up to 11. That's a Spinal Tap reference. Bastard, he has got government backing to create like the next breed of Centennials. They are part human and part robot. And what we're seeing here is Bastard, he captures Julie Lee and he tortures her for information on the Excellent Men, and that's what a lot of the Generation Next issues deal with. This one, issue 27, it's really good. This was one of the first videos I ever did. I reviewed an hard tattered copy of this issue, and I joked that it was like sicko porn for perverts because it's just an hard bloke mentally and physically beating a teenage girl. I think next we have got, this is Excellent Force, and this comes from the only run on Excellent Force that has never been collected. This was when they kind of reset them to being a bit more like the New Muties, circa Lewis Simons. And it's alright, but the main problem for me is that Cannonballs, he isn't in it anymore. He was upgraded to being on the main Excellent Men team. And some of these tie-ins, they are just various mutie teams like Excellent Force or mutie characters fighting these new improved Centennials. But they're fine and they still feel like a useful part of this story. But what we're getting to is with what he has learned from Julie Lee, Bastard and his Centennials, they're able to launch an attack on the Excellent Men here. and they defeat and they capture some of the main Excellent Men. He captures Cyclist, the Whore, Wolfman, Storms, Cannonballs. So he's taken most of the Excellent Men off the playing field. A lot of the other members, they are off in space. But the one who slips through the cracks is Snowman. Snowman, he isn't captured because he was at home with his parents. And then it's up to him to put together a plan and a new team to try and stop Bastard. I actually forgot though, there's this old plot line. And a lot of it sadly isn't collected here. But there's this old subplot with Bastard and J.K. Jonah Jameson. And the Daily Planet and them reporting on Bastard. Really good stuff. Surprising amount of characterisation for J.K. Jonah Jameson in an Excellent Men book. This is Joey Mental art here. Only one issue by him in this whole collection, sadly. Then, much later on... Oh, look, it's that Gothflash. She's getting ready to cut that fella's neck again. Later on, we've got Cables, and he's trying to stop Bastard and stuff. But I like this story. It's got some great stuff with Snowman. He really stands out as a capable hero in this. This is before they gave him the reverse gay conversion therapy. And Bastard. Honestly, Bastard, he isn't the worst villain. He does have an awful beard. But I think he's imposing enough. The beard makes him look like it is Nimrod, the coffee shop years. Like he should be working in Starbucks. Barista, that would have been a better name for him. But the thing with this crossover is that nobody really remembers it. Nobody really cared. Nobody really invested in it and read it all in real time. And the reason for that is because I need to get out the behind the scenes stuff. In the 90s, from 1991 to 1995, the two main Excellent Men books, they were written by Scott Lobdell and Fabio Nicieza. Between the two of them, they also wrote a lot of the spin-offs or satellite titles, like Excellent Force or Generation Next. They worked well together, they complemented each other's work, and they tended to share a lot of ideas and subplots. And certain stories like Saberclaw living in the basement, they would continue across their books seamlessly. Under them, we had semi-regular crossovers, which were incredibly big sellers and generally decent. We had Executioner's Agenda, we had Fecal Attractions, of course Age of Armageddon, which is still held up as one of like the best Excellent Men stories ever. My personal favourite though is Borg Covenant, because Emma Frosty's in that one. But what happened was, in 1995, Fabio Nicieza, who is a great writer, one of the best, he was fired off of his Excellent Men book because Marvel, they had just acquired a hot new talent from DC, and they wanted to put him on the Excellent Men. That's right, it was Martin fucking Quaid. And Marvel, they moved fucking mountains for Martin Quaid. Scott Lobdell, he had started setting up two new storylines. One of them was this, Operation No Tall Pants. We had ongoing subplots introducing Bastard and the new Centennials. And the other story he was setting up was Onslaught Man. Of the two, Scott Lobdell, he was clearly much more interested in No Tall Pants. And what happened was, Martin Quaid, he took over and took the lead in Onslaught Man. Martin Quaid, he came up with a terrible idea, which was just stolen from an unused Van Morrison and Matt Miller pitch for an alternate universe title, where Onslaught Man, he would just be Dr. X gone evil. Scott Lobdell, supposedly, he hated that idea. And as a result, Martin Quaid, he wound up taking over pretty much the entire Excellent Men franchise for most of the duration of the Onslaught Man story. If that wasn't bad enough, Martin Quaid, he was also writing Avengers and Captain America, and he had the keys to almost everything. Of course, the Avengers and Fantastic Force, they die fighting Onslaught Man, and Dr. X, he is trashed as a character. Onslaught Man, the crossover, it was the tipping point for a lot of people. All the crossovers before that had at the very least sold very well. Onslaught Man, it started strong, but it killed the Excellent Men's 5 years of being consistent top sellers. The book never recovered. It wasn't until Van Morrison in 2001 that the Excellent Men resumed their status as top sellers. So the truth is, Martin Quaid, he killed the Excellent Men franchise in the 90s. For ages, I wanted to dig another video about how Martin Quaid, he blames Bob Patrick Harris for running the Excellent Men into the ground in the 90s, when it's very clearly Quaid who did so. Very, very clearly. And he's just doing his standard deflection thing while referring to something that nobody has at hand to dispute. But then, after Onslaught Man, we finally got back to Scott Lobdell and his Operation No Tall Pants crossover. In a way, this is like a consolation prize. If this had come before Onslaught Man, it'd probably have been a solid sales hit, and more people would have read it and agreed that it's not that bad. In fact, the worst part of this crossover are all the bits dealing with the rubbish Martin Quaid left. Martin Quaid, he fucked off the minute he realised he might be on a sinking ship. This is also Scott Lobdell's last Excellent Men story from his run. He does come back to do a few fill-ins or mini-series later on, but this is like his swan song. And now that I've gone over that backstory, let's talk about some of the missing stuff. Generation Next 25 I've already mentioned. Another major one is Excellent Men Limitless, number 16 I think it was. The one that I reviewed. That one, it outright ties into the event. It's about Squealy fighting the new Centennials. Something else we're missing is, we're missing all the subplot pages and stuff from earlier issues, like the first appearance of Bastard, which is actually in a Martin Quaid comic. With that said though, Bastard, he is clearly Scott Lobdell's character. Then we've got stuff like the building storylines about Creed Bratton running for president on an anti-mutant platform and him being assassinated. Then Snowman, his parents being attacked by bigots. And then we've got the stuff with the Daily Planet and Spider-Man. Stuff like that, they do ultimately pay off in this story, or they have a big part. And even some parts of Onslaught Man resonate here. And on that front, I would say the first thing I'd say is absolutely missing from this collection is a comic called Onslaught Man AP Lodge. That issue, it was basically, it was just setting up this crossover. It had Bastard as a central character, and one of the big things, Scott Lobdell, he hated the idea of Onslaught Man, and he is responsible for the kind of thing we got, where it said that Onslaught Man might not be entirely Dr. X, and it might be a fusion of Dr. X and Mr. Magnets' minds. That was Scott Lobdell. But yeah, I'd say that issue was missing. We're missing loads of Bastard appearances prior to Generation Next 26. His first appearance. Subplot pages. The stuff with J.K. Jonah Jameson. There's even more issues of Generation Next that he's in. The bottom line is, most of those comics have been collected in other collections, but the Generation Next ones, they haven't. Anyway, this is a really solid story. You can still read it in this, but you will obviously pick up on stuff being missing. We start off and Judy Lee, she's already been captured, and Bastard, he's already established and in power. The snowman stuff, it's a riff. Scott Lobdell loves doing this riff. He loves doing a callback to gigantic sized Excellent Men #1, where he has like the main team taken out and then one member assemble a new team of random characters. We've got that stuff here. Let's skip to the back actually and look at all the bonuses. This is the final issue here, Excellent Men issue 70. There's Maggot there, Bufka Hustletine's favouriteest character. Here we are, the bonuses. We've got some line work. There's a house ad and another. And this should have been the cover, I reckon. We got a big team shot of the Excellent Men. There's also a version of this art without that target sight on Maggot. But even that, it fits the story. So I'd have just gone with this. More house ads. Yeah, there's not many Uncanny Excellent Men issues in this. I think there's only the one. That's because it was busy dealing with Martin Quaid shit. There's that interview and preview that we had in the other comic I reviewed. There's the cover for an earlier trade paperback, which had a lot less stuff in it. I think it was just the Generation Next issues. But it is a much more appropriate cover. At least Julie Lee, she's more prominent in the story than Wolfman. Here we've got all the covers without any copy, without any of the text and stuff. So I'm going to point out which ones I think would have been a better choice for cover to this collection. That one there with Julie Lee, that would have worked. That one there, that one really would have worked with the Excellent Men and Bastard. That would have been perfect. There's the one we got. That one with Cables, that would be technically better. Then on the next page, that one up there with Snowman and Bastard, that would have been perfect, as it reflects the story really well. But I understand why they didn't use it. Snowman, he's not exactly A-list Excellent Man. That one there, Wolfman and Julie Lee, that would have been brilliant. It reflects the story much better, and they still get to have Wolfman on the cover. That one there with Bastard, with the defeated Excellent Men, that would have been great. Or that one next to it with the main Excellent Men defeated, that would work. Maybe that one down there with the new team, that could work as well. It's a good story with a mediocre collection, but I do recommend it. If you're gonna illegally download all your comics, you can easily grab the ones that this collection skips. It skips them probably due to space limitations. I rate this 7 thumbs up.